Hello, my name is Peter Medak, and I was very fortunate to be asked to direct this wonderful movie called The Krays. And I'm here with the two lovelies, Martin and Gary Kemp, who played the two main parts in the movie.
I'm Gary, and I played Ronnie, and it'll be interesting watching this. I haven't seen this for a while.
And I'm Martin, who played Reggie Kray.
Yeah, it's 15 years ago that we made this movie. It seems like today, actually, not even like yesterday. And it was a wonderful experience, and I always say to myself that if every 10 years I can just make one movie, so I can look at myself in the mirror and say, this was really great, you know. It makes me really happy and makes the 10 years worthwhile.
Yeah, there was it was a long build-up to doing this film for us. There'd been talk about trying to raise the money for this movie and whether or not Martin and I were going to do it, or whether it was going to be a couple of other brothers who were actors who were going to take on the part. But and so we had quite a long time to prepare it, didn't we? Really, we had about sort of 6 months of.
Well, even longer than that, I think, because I think there were trouble with the finances so often that I remember going into preparation for a period of 6 months, stopping for a couple of months, then going back into it for another 6 months because the money was coming in and out so often, because we found it hard to get it made in the first place.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I got a phone call out of the blue when I was living in Los Angeles for a friend who called up, who was friends of the producers, which was Dominic Enciano and
Ray
Burgess and Jim Beach, but Jim was the exec producer, that they were looking for somebody to take the film over because there was another director who fell out a few months before and the film was ready to go and it was financed. So I got the script in my lap in Los Angeles and I was on the way to Paris when I read it, and they said it's not an offer for you to direct, but if you're interested, call the producers. So I called them from Paris immediately because the script was absolutely fabulous, which was written by Philip Ridley, and I knew the period very well because I was fortunate enough to make a film with John Littlewood as a first assistant director in 1962, which is the time when I met Reggie and Ronnie Kray and their whole world. So I knew them from that time. So when I first got the script, I said to myself, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because I really knew too much about it. But then when I read Philip's script, it had such an incredible overview, and his whole script is from the women's point of view, and it's not telling the kind of history of what they have done, which would have taken probably 8 hours to tell.
I think that's the surprise of the movie, is that it is from the girl's point of view, which makes it. It's kind of, in a way, when we were doing it, I always found that the women and the surrounding characters were quite theatrical in their performance. And Gary and my performance, we were kind of a bit more down to earth, a bit more kind of film style.
So sort of inverted what you'd expected, because you expected the Ronnie and Reggie to be more heightened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that turned us all on was the script, and it was so original. I mean, I think people had their ideas on how this should be filmed, that it should be like The Long Good Friday and it should be dirty realism. But I think what Philip presented was a much more stylised, heightened, theatrical version of the tale. And he you had to change the story, change some of the dynamics, change some of the chronology of it. I mean, the murders were a year apart, and Philip put them on the same day cleverly.
Yeah, wonderful.
As Shakespeare used to take history and reinvent it completely differently for the stage.
More than all the chocolate in the world. Hello, boys.
It was a great help for me to have known that period. You know, I came to England in 1956, so the 50s and the 60s are incredibly vivid in my mind, and London, and particularly the East End. And I very purposely had cast all the older parts in the movie from the wonderful actors who John Littlewood had collected over the years through her plays, which he had made in the Stratford Royal East End Theatre. And so with that it brought an atmosphere of that whole world, that whole time, which surrounded the Krays. And wonderful thing is that they play the kids in that Sparrows Can't Sing, and now they play the mothers and the grandmothers.
Yeah.
I mean, Avis Bunnage was one of the main stars of Joan Littlewood's plays, and Murray Melvin and a whole bunch of them. Wonderful, wonderful people.
I think that really did capture that sense of the time. You know,
of
thinking
the period.
of plays like Look Back in Anger, and you know, that period of theatre that some of these actors came from as well. And of course, you know, Billy was the great actor for
Beckett, yeah.
Beckett.
Yeah, Beckett wrote all his plays, which Billy performed the first time. And she's incredibly powerful, and she was so wonderful in this role, and she was Mother Earth.
And of course, she was struck ill as well at the
Yeah.
beginning of this film, and she was in quite a delicate position, situation with her health at that time.
But I think this is probably her best role. It's the best thing I've seen her in.
Because I will, you know. God help me, I will.
It's also sad to see, you know, Susan and Avis, who have both died since making this film, and obviously Susan's so young.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing when one looks at films, and when we have been involved in it, it feels like we're still shooting right now, and we're looking at the dailies, isn't it? And it's a wonderful kind of... It makes one feel really very, very rich to have been able to make this movie.
This was incredible, Peter, because you remember this house, this street here exists, but this house on the right, that
Yeah.
facade, Michael Pickwood
Yeah.
designed and put up, and it gave you the opportunity, didn't it,
Absolutely.
to tell the time.
Absolutely, because the East End we couldn't shoot anymore because it's all modernized and changed, you know. So we went to Greenwich and found a street where there was a kind of an empty lot. And Michael Pickwood, who designed the picture, you know, came up with this wonderful idea that first it's going to be the house, then it's going to be bombed, and then it's going to be changed, and then years later, because we have to gone through great leaps of time with one or two scenes, and then the street changes, and it's wonderful with those guessworks at the end.
Incredible.
And it's exactly what the East End looked like, and there's so little of it left nowadays.
But
in
it's a street in
London.
Greenwich, actually.
Yeah,
It's in
absolutely.
Greenwich. It's in the other, it's, you know, it's the other side of the water.
Yeah, I know. And of course the interiors were built in the studio because they were very, very, very small working class homes, and it was very important for me to be able to move the camera, I think, which is, to me, it's the key to my directing, because that's the paintbrush. A director tells the story, and it's just crucially important what that camera does and how you interpret things. And it was fabulous, you know, because I remember beneath the outside of the house, it was a composite set and went up on 2 stories, and I wanted to crane up on one scene, so we had to put bricks on the outside of the house so the camera could come out of the room and go up and then go in again.
This bit's actually shot on location, though, this
Yeah.
looking out scene. So I think that was reproduced.
Yes, no, yeah, absolutely, because this was the aunt's house next door to the main house, so we couldn't really build this because you see the street behind, which would cost a lot of money, but it's a wonderful way to use locations and kind of not studio, but you just go in there, you break through walls and you change the rooms and you put everything. All you need is the right color plane, the right curtains, the right wardrobe, and not too much color to keep it that muted color.
That's what I love, the browns and beiges
Yeah.
that I've noticed. I mean, it's beautifully lit, and
Yeah,
I'd forgotten
absolutely.
how well lit it was. I still own one of those little crocodiles. And
That's right, yeah,
to
that's
put
the
it on
only thing I
eBay.
took from the film, was the crocodile.
Haven't you got a snake head?
No, I've got the crocodile.
I don't think I took anything. Normally I always steal something off the set as a
Jimmy Jewel.
memory, yeah.
There's Jimmy Jewel.
Yeah, Jimmy Jewel was this legendary music hall actor who we had the joy and pleasure to work with. Wasn't he incredible?
Beautiful man, full of old-time anecdotes, which were a joy to listen to.
Because we grew up watching him on TV in a famous sitcom, Pickles Factory.
The Pickle Factory, with, who?
I've forgotten it.
Lily...
Yeah, no, I've forgotten.
Oh, I can't
And
remember
I was
his
so
name.
excited when you cast him, and I think he
Yeah.
really added that flavour of what actually
Wonderful.
Cannonball Lee was like. You know,
Yeah.
that old East End musical
Yeah.
sort of guy who was a
Exactly.
real showman. And you know, if you see pictures of the original Cannonball Lee, I mean, he really
Yeah.
stood out in the crowd. And I think Jimmy was absolutely perfect casting. I mean, those people don't exist anymore, so I
No.
think we just got it at the right time.
I know. When he dances later on in the film, and he just breaks into this shades of the music hall memory in
Which
him.
was his idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wanted to dance.
Well, that wasn't in the script, was it?
No.
It
No,
was, but it's
no,
one of
but-
my favourite parts of the film.
Also, I love music so much that any time you can just break out
Yeah.
into something like that, it's just magic.
They're in control, but they don't know the art of
But those people were like that in the East End. They were actors, they were comedians, they were villains, they were boxers.
Lovely woodwork.
Actually, listening to some of this dialogue, I mean, it reminds me, you know, just how much this movie was about the power of the women, but the boys were really just playing these games all the time of that were very theatrical in a way, that were about sort of war and death, and that with Ronnie and Reggie, it never stopped for them. They just kept on going.
Up and up. Can't stop. Just up to the sun.
I mean, I think they were, you know, as twins, they were probably put on a bit of a pedestal at an early age, and I think they were held up as being something rather special, especially by their mother.
But the mother and the aunts, absolutely they were.
Because the men, all the other men that surround them that are in this are quite weak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the father's quite a weak character. As Blakey,
But they were very, very...
Stephen Lewis.
That's Stephen Lewis, who, again, actually he's the one who wrote Sparrows Can't Sing, which the film I was the first assistant director to John Littlewood, you know. And it's one of the reasons I put him in the film, again, because it brings that whole world of the East End with him. He lived in the East End all his life.
Woman's work never done, Constable.
He's a famous working class comedy actor. as
Yeah,
well,
he's-
isn't he?
He also, I think he wrote On the Buses, that was his whole
But he was
idea.
it. Did he really? Wow.
Yeah,
Did he write that? Oh,
Yeah.
God. But I was pleased when I saw him on that day, and he had taken his moustache off. I think if he had gone on with his moustache, I wouldn't have taken that
Well, when
seriously.
you find him, let me know. I've got 3 hungry mouths here need feeding.
but I used Stephen quite a lot in my other movies. And because Joan Littlewood, I think everything and anything I know about acting I learned from her in that 6 months, and she made such an incredible impression. And same with Maria Melvin and Barbara Ferris, you know, who played the mom of Kate Hardy in the film. They all from that time.
Excuse me, madam.
Alex Thompson was the cameraman, the DP on the film, who I'd known probably 50 years, and he has achieved kind of great acclaim in the business, you know, become a great cameraman. It was a joy to work with him after all these years. And lighting is quite kind of beautiful in the film. Here I'm just praising the film. Obviously I love it. I do love the film very much. You know.
Where did you shoot this, Peter? This was in that disused.
Yeah,
tube
it was
station.
it was
Aldwych or
somewhere
something?
Aldwych, yeah, and it was on a Sunday, and it was the same day I had to shoot with Michael Elphick, who I also loved. We all loved him. He was a wonderful actor. Unfortunately, he's died. He's passed away. And I remember Michael came in to do this as a favor, and we had to wait all day long in his trailer because we were very late shooting this scene. It took forever to get the extras in and light it up. And
Well, it's a big scene. It's all
Yeah.
mostly shot in one go as well,
Yeah.
so it's going to take a long time to shoot.
exactly,
Of course,
yeah.
talking in 2005, there's a great irony. This is when the Tube was the safest place to go when London was being attacked.
Yeah.
True, I tell you. My old mum seen him once, Jack the Ripper. Seen him with her own eyes down Brick Lane. Tall. he
Great
was.
etched face he's got.
Long black cape. Face as white as chalk. Teeth sharp as little razors. And his eyes. core, his eyes. Red they was, glowed like stars. My mum were only a young woman when she saw
These
him.
kids were
She went
quite
grey
wonderful,
overnight.
and
Took all the bleeding
they keep
colour
blinking
out of my
because I
hair.
had to put blue contact lenses into their eyes.
Ah,
You remember? And it caused a lot of problems. And
Because the implication in Philip's script here is that, you know, in a way, normal life and ordinary life wasn't enough for Ronnie and Reggie, that in a way they were trying to create something much larger for themselves, and much that they would be completely in charge of.
yeah,
And that story that Jimmy's character is telling
it's
them.
kind of a fantasy world they lived in.
Wonderful. We can say
This is Vernon Dobchev,
anything we like. Words.
who's a rather eccentric, wonderful English actor. You'll notice I used since 1968 in the various movies. It's like an omen.
lucky charm.
And it's wonderful as this lunatic teacher.
This is a great scene about words as well,
Yes.
because you know that did become one of Ronnie and Reggie's greatest weapons, words themselves.
Yes.
Very short ones with 4 letters.
Come on, there's millions to choose from. Tell me a wonderful word.
Mum.
I think it must be the only zoom in the film. Do you think, Peter?
I
It's
think
not
so.
a rare
But I
commodity these days.
always try to track and zoom, you know, so it doesn't. But that I think was probably I couldn't get in because of the desks.
That worked.
You know.
All right then, who else?
But Philip Ridley's contribution was tremendous to the film because his script was so fresh and so different, and a lot of people attempted to make the story of the Kray twins, and their life was so huge, and the things they have done was so kind of unbelievably horrible, some of it, that it would have been really kind of boring to listen to the whole story, and that's why Philip's script just went over it all, because he had this wonderful overview of what the East End was like.
And he was there most of the
Yeah.
time, wasn't he? He was always appearing, and I remember also it was Philip's idea, and he was really stuck by it in the way that Martin and I looked. He insisted on that we both had unreal, unnatural jet black hair in the movie, and
Yes.
it was the black suits and the white shirts and the black thin ties, which, you know, I was a bit concerned about at first, but really strikes a note on screen.
Yes.
And I met Tarantino in the early 90s in America, who said to me that when he was doing Reservoir Dogs, he gave a copy of the Krays to every person on the production of that movie and said, I want my movie to look like this. So the black suits, white shirts,
Yeah.
black ties, which no one really has given the Krays credit for, came from here.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the amazing thing, is that the Krays, in a way, modeled themselves on the American B-movie heroes, with the cars, the dark suits and everything, you know. And years ago, with Patrick Magoon, took me one night to a club on Berkeley Square, which we also was owned by one of the B-movie stars. I can't remember his name now at the moment. God, what was his name? Anyhow, but in
Maybe it
fact,
was C-movie.
no, wasn't it? Was definitely. It will come back to me. It was very important, you know, because it is their whole world, and it's so ironic.
So
that
George Raft.
George Raft,
Yeah,
that's right.
is it? Yeah, right.
And George was at the club all the time, every night.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was his club, but it wasn't his club. It was the Kray twins
Ronnie and
club.
Reggie
and
love
they were-
celebrity.
Yeah, but he was fronting the club for them. And I said, what an ironic thing that they copied themselves, and here is George Raft, you know, the epitome of American gangster movies, and he ends up working for them.
I mean, that was the very hard thing, wasn't it? Because when Gary and I were taking on these roles, everyone was very aware and saying to us, oh, you should, the last thing you can do is to glamorise these boys. But what was difficult is that they were glamorous.
Yes.
And they did glamorise themselves. So it was a very difficult kind of thing to take on and to not make larger than life.
Yeah, I think we had to believe in we had to like ourselves. We could never take a
Yeah, of
moral
course.
opinion when we were
Of
playing
course.
these guys, and what you had to rely on is that the script and the story overall would leave people feeling cold. And I think at the end of this, you are quite horrified by what's gone on. I remember being most nervous about this scene because I was 30 when we shot the movie, and we're playing 17-year-olds in this, and I think I've got a couple of hair pieces on at the front, and there was a bit of makeup make us look younger. But
I've used them since, those hair pieces, and the worst thing about them is when you take them off and you're back to being 30 or 43 or whatever you are at the time.
But I thought at the time, we don't look young, we don't look younger, and now I'm looking at it now, God, we look like babies, Martin.
You may think so, Guy.
Because this is a great scene with the boxing, because we had all these extras in that day.
Yeah,
I
all the
remember one
famous
of the
boxers.
extras saying to Martin, "Are you doing Reggie's Twitch?"
Oh, really?
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, God, and he completely drove me mad. He says, you can't do Reggie if you don't do the Twitch. But that was kind of all the lead up to this film. Everybody had a tip of how you should play Ronnie and Reggie, even down to an old taxi driver I got in mind. I got into a taxi once, and this taxi driver said to me, "You know what gave the Kray twins their magical powers, don't you?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "Their mum made them drink the green water." but everybody had a tip of how you should play them, and that was quite difficult for us, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I remember that guy as we were boxing, and every time we came around, circled round, he'd be in the corner doing the Twitch, wouldn't he? Actually, we should just say that this is John H. Stracey fighting Jimmy Jewell here. And John
trained you, didn't he?
He trained us. He was a world champion boxer, and he trained us for about 6 months down at the Henry Cooper gym in Old Kent Road. And Martin and I quite enjoyed it. I mean, we used to spar.
Well,
a
you
lot
did.
together.
You enjoyed it. I found it quite difficult.
But,
I was petrified when we were doing this scene, because but you kind of hurt each other a bit in this while we were shooting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be off of it.
Because I was trying to make it real, and
But Gary and I had been boxing training with John for maybe 6 months before, so we were kind of used to hitting each other with the gloves at that point. It wasn't a shock.
But we used to have head guards on when we trained, didn't we?
Yeah.
We bulked up quite a lot. I mean, I put on about a stone and a half to do the film as well. So I was quite a weakling before approaching this movie, and I mean, Ronnie was a big guy.
I mean, this scene is very important to the characters of the boys because it really shows they were very, very good boxers, and they could have been world-class boxers had they not become gangsters. And it kind of shows that talent in them and the danger of it as well.
Of course, the East End myth that they fought each other and people were sort of torn apart gets played out in this film.
Yeah.
It was nice to have a go back at John after all that sparring I did.
All those press-ups he made you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And the winner, Ronnie Kray! He wants to have another go with anybody out there.
He's a great old actor, Peter, from
I
the
know
old
who plays
50s.
it. Yes.
Another great sort of English movie face.
I know. All the old movies. The costumes are so important, and Lindy Hemmings designed the costumes, who then went on and won, I think, at least 2 Oscars since then.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Topsy-Turvy, I think she won an Oscar.
Topsy-Turvy, she won an Oscar for, and she does all the Bond movies, and
But Charlie Richardson turned up while we were making this.
That's
Do you
right.
remember the famous gangster who was the sort of the
all
nemesis of Ronnie and Reggie from South London, and he was wearing a white 3-piece suit with a white coat.
Well, that's right, yeah, because all of the guys in the corners as well were part of the film, weren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, because they're all famous boxers who sat in the judges' table.
Yeah. I think Alex Steen is there.
Alex Steen and Lenny McLean.
Lenny McLean's there.
He's ringing. I think you see him in a minute ringing a bell.
Who's passed on there as well.
That's him. There's
Lenny on the left. Yeah.
But do you remember every day when we were filming, all of those guys, all the old firm, used to turn up at 1 o'clock for lunch?
Yeah, I know. No, it's incredible.
It was like a firm reunion every day.
The thing about Charlie Richardson is that he was there that day, and I had a message from Ronnie from prison. If we could, he said, I only need to ask you one favor. Can you employ my nephew on the film as a runner? And I said to Charlie Kray, who was with us on the film, and I said, well, I can't, because we're halfway through the movie and we got everybody, In any case, he was in the crowd in this scene, and that's why Charlie Richardson came there on the set to see him.
I thought Charlie was a bit upset that the film wasn't about him. But I remember being quite sort of struck when I spotted him. I remember asking Ronnie in prison about, how competitive he was with his brother Reggie, and he said he wasn't at all, but I think Martin and I, we'd always thought that there was that feeling amongst them that
I think
competition between them.
Actually, yeah. I think when we spoke to him, I think he was playing it down.
But Ronnie was the boss, but Reggie was the better looking, and he was the more, was always surrounded by women and all that.
But I think they would have had to vie for their mother's love at the beginning, and that's where the competition must have started. But it's funny, when it was first mooted that we would do this movie, I don't think Martin and I had any questions that who would play which character. We always felt that Ronnie seemed like the older brother, even though they were twins, and me being 2 years older than Martin. It just seemed like that was
absolutely
him being the better looking of the two as well.
But did you visit him in prison?
Yeah, a couple of times. Went to Broadmoor and saw Ronnie, and it was quite an experience. Many anecdotes, but it's an odd place, Broadmoor, because it's not a prison. It's a prison hospital, and so they can wear the clothes that they like. The first time I met Ronnie, he was wearing a sky blue silk suit, and he had a white shirt on, and he showed me the monogram on his shirt, which we had copied for all the shirts in this movie, which was RK with a crown above it, and then he had 2 gold cufflinks with R's on each of them in diamonds, which we had made as well for this movie. So and there was whether in the end Martin and I had to play it as the script said, and in the way that we best could. And I think the most important thing is that people believe we were twins, and that we had that connection with each other to make that kind of extra character who was the twin.
Yeah, I remember at the end, as we were leaving Broadmoor, one of the wardens gave us a bill. And we said, what's this for? And he said, it's for Ronnie's ordered 2 crates of non-alcoholic lager. So at the end we got mugged anyway.
Morning, Mrs. Kray.
Morning. Bloody National Service. What right have they got?
I knew the Krays very well because of Joan Littlewood, and they turned up on the set on the first day in 7 or 8 black cars, which is the reason I put the black cars into the movie.
This is on your
on Sparrows Can't Sing.
Yeah.
And they said, well, who is the first assistant? So everybody was pointing at me.
What do you know about it, woman?
So did they actually come and talk to you?
So, so that night they said, you better come down to the Kentucky Club. So I went to Joan. I said, Joan, you better come with me because you got me into this. So we went down to the club. And the club really became kind of the hangout for the whole crew for the movie. And the crew had free drinks every night after shooting. And we used the club in the film, and then we put them into the film, and then at the end of the day they said, there's only one thing we got to do. He said, you can't just go shooting around in the East End like that because you could get into a lot of trouble. He said, you better have 2 of our minders with you. And then we had 2 of their gang members, which we didn't know. They were club owners at the time. And I wasn't aware of who they were or what they were doing. They were just really very cool guys, running all this. They had like 20 clubs at the time. So then Willie was one of them, and they hung around on the shooting, and we used them as stand-ins and extras and everything, you know. And then Reggie and Ron used to just pop in and come and visit us once a week on the set.
Someone stick a feather up your arse, lad.
I mean, growing up as a kid, their legend was quite extreme. I mean, it was large in the streets of London, and I think probably all over Britain. I think, you know, it was a time when a lot of working class people were becoming very, very successful as celebrities, which had never really happened before in such a broad sense. You know, post-war, you know, people, you know, with Mick Jagger and the Beatles, and people like Michael Caine, and then, you know, the Krays. You know, we chose guitars as our weapons in real life, Martin and I. But I think there was that need for that. I mean, part of what drove them, I think, was celebrity, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It was their desire for it.
Absolutely, but also it's because their great interest about boxing. All the big fighters from America knew them, and they knew each other. So when they came to London, they immediately went on to their clubs, and it became the thing to go down to the rough East End, which is really dangerous, you know, where you could get hurt, and that was the thing to do.
This was a really key scene in the movie, and that's why you cast someone as
I know,
famous as Michael.
Michael Elphick, I mean, he was such a giant of an actor, and if it wasn't for his love of alcohol, which he tried to fight off, you know, he would have been a major theatrical or movie star, but he was a fabulous actor, and it was just an honor and a joy to have him. I mean, his voice in this scene is so incredible.
Well, you always knew this was a really important scene. He only gets one scene to act in, but it's the philosophy that's being delivered to the Krays that spurs them on. This was the first thing we ever shot, first scene we did.
Well, it was the first scene we shot together, because I shot one.
Oh, which one had you done?
I shot one with Kate Hardy.
Right, this is my first
Cliffs.
The wonderful thing, we found this music hall theater, which we then had to convert later on and make look much better, and this is the rundown version of it.
Little cherubs, bunches of grapes.
So this is the Krays running with the Maltese.
Yeah. It amazed me in America that people came to me and said, "Oh, we loved your movie, you know, but we find it so violent." And I said, there's probably 10% of violence in this movie compared to any ordinary American film, when everybody kills 18 million people with submachine guns and everything. And everybody said to me, well, the difference is that this is really real.
Yeah,
and
it's the realism of the violence.
And I think, you know, what they do with knives and enjoy it at the same time is quite shocking. But I mean, I think we should take that as a compliment, really, because it shows that, you know,
but
violence.
I also think that was kind of partially one of our weapons to take away the accusation that we were glamorising the twins, to keep the violence real.
I know, but we never did that. We never did that.
Because if you make the violence real, then you make it horrible, and that takes away the glamorisation of it all.
Because the whole movie is from the mother's love's point of view to these two twins who were angels to her.
I know this seems rather fantastical that they're fighting with sabres, but this actually happened.
I know. I did, absolutely.
That was their weapon of choice at that time.
Absolutely. I mean, when they were 6-year-old, it used to be bicycle chains, and then later on they bought this in antique shops.
I think this is quite a horrific scene. There's something about the joy on Reggie's face there, Martin's performance.
Do it!
Just shut this and tell him we let you off lightly. Hear me? Say thank you. Say thank you.
were pouring pints of blood into that thing. I said, more blood, you know. He said, you're crazy.
That's right, everyone was saying, no, that's enough, Peter. No,
That's
more,
right,
more.
But blood never shows on screen.
That's right,
you know.
yeah.
It's true, it always looks too much
You
on the
always
day.
need more.
But I love this scene. It's such a clever scene because it just establishes their power and their insanity and
also, you know, it's very difficult. You know, if one of these guys, maybe you could argue with, but the two of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the frightening thing I think about the Krays is that if Ronnie wasn't in the room and Reggie was, Ronnie was still sort of there. Because you could never talk to one. You could certainly never say anything bad about the other one.
No. Sweet Billy.
And of course, the vanity was really important as well of the Krays.
You make me feel proud. For both of you.
It was great getting the suits made, wasn't it, Martin? We went up, you know, Savile. We picked a lot of the materials from Savile Row, but Angels made all the costumes in the end. We had 9 suits each and a Crombie, and then all these handmade shirts. Unfortunately, we couldn't. I've kept some of the shirts, but we couldn't get to keep any of the suits and Crombies. They've all been recycled back into Angels.
Oh, here's your fairy godmother.
The carriage awaits outside. Let's get into it before it turns into a pumpkin.
Oh, look at them, Rose. What do they look like?
Stop it, Mum.
Oh, you're not
But you see,
shy,
that's what's
are you,
wonderful
Aunt
about
Rose,
the
are
home
you?
movies, that it shows them so warm to their mothers, to their aunt, to everybody around them.
Makes it more frightening, doesn't it?
It's more frightening when they suddenly turn on somebody else.
Come on, spit it out. Tell her.
Savile Row.
Reggie, open your jacket and show your Aunt Rose the cut
This
of
is
the
the
shirt.
monogram I was talking about.
Yeah,
Isn't that beautiful? Look at this, Rose. Look at this.
there it is.
Oh. Do you know, Dad'd have to work a whole year to own a shirt like that.
But those little things are very important. They're more important sometimes than the big things in the movies, the little detail.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, but that came out of research. That came out of meeting Ronnie himself.
Yeah.
You know.
Like kings.
I mean, that was a tough line, you know, because we had to say it together, and you know, it's slightly unnatural, but you know, it was in the script that way, and you had confidence that it was it would say
absolutely.
something about them and their
Totally.
symbiosis.
Yeah, but it also reflects when they were kids earlier on, you know, and because they have to show that they have identical souls.
Yeah.
Because I'm convinced if that Reggie, I always say he could have become a movie star like Sean Connery if it wasn't for Ronnie, because he was tall, and you know, Ronnie, the more insane he got, the more uglier he got over the years, the more different they become. But they were identical twins with identical souls, and those lines when they speak together, that is there to show that.
Well, it worked in the movie, yeah.
Because they had a few clubs, didn't they? But this became in Philip's script. This became the club, really.
Absolutely.
For the Krays.
The Kentucky Club, yeah.
I mean, also they were a little bit out of time, and I think they enjoyed that. People forget that actually they were obsessed with the 50s, even though it was the 60s. I mean, rock and roll was going. You know, the Beatles were happening.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then the Rolling Stones. People were starting to grow their hair, but Ronnie and Reggie still looked very sort of 50s.
Yeah, because it was that old-fashioned world around them, but because of the uncles and the aunts and the past.
Spread your loving arms way out in space. You do the Eden Rock with such style and grace. You put your left foot
I just adore when he starts to dance
you pull
here.
it back, and that's why
Because he was full of pain, and I said, Jimmy, can you do one more take? You know, and I said, oh, Peter, I can't, you know.
But this was the song that Jimmy wanted to put in, wasn't
Yeah,
it? That
it
he
is,
used to
yeah,
do
absolutely,
in his original act.
Absolutely.
You did right then.
That wasn't in the script.
But he wasn't
and,
feeling too well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there was a whole saying he wanted to do this and he wanted to do that, and I said there's no room, you know, but we can do
A little
one
bit of
thing.
magic and
Yeah, I know. He became a great friend until he passed away. I used to come back and visit him. Lived on Kensington High Street, you know.
This is the first scene where you see that Ronnie maybe has different sexual preferences
That's
to
right.
his brother.
Make you what you are. Look after him then.
It's the one thing I couldn't put into the film, which I desperately wanted to do, is that Ronnie had a gang of young kids around him, 12 years old, 13 years old, little boys, you know.
Like a Fagin.
Yeah, and they were the ones who was his police force. So when they went into a pub to have a drink, they placed themselves one corner, another corner, several blocks away. So when somebody was coming, they passed the messages very quickly. And then one of them ran into the pub to tell Ronnie saying so-and-so, or Richardsons are coming, or, you know, so they were ready.
Yeah.
Or the cops were coming.
I didn't know that.
And I wanted to do that because it would have shown his slight homosexual tendencies, you know, and we couldn't afford to do it.
But Philip has a great way of, the only reference to it that Reggie makes to Ronnie is in the scene earlier when he says, your tie's crooked.
Yes. Yeah.
Meant to be the metaphor.
First, I'd like to introduce you to the boss. The one you to go to with all your troubles. No matter how small they are, he wants to help.
This is meant to be, I think this is Ronnie's sense of humour.
I know, it's so anticlimactic, you know. I never knew what they had to do with this scene, you know, because isn't it? It all kind of goes down like that, you know.
Yeah. Oh, everything comes out all right.
I think that's one of Jimmy's jokes. He's ad-libbing.
I know. This is just really funny.
But
this is lovely, you know. I mean, the whole scene is there to do this. What's coming up?
Yeah, it's sort of the lull before the storm, isn't it?
Yeah. And his jealousy of your wife to be and
Frances. Yeah.
Frances.
Me?
Played by Kate Hardy, who I think is one of the best actresses in England.
Honestly, I didn't say a word.
Call me a boy.
I didn't say nothing.
Boy? Is this all the work of a fucking boy? Excuse me.
Well, Kate had just been in Mona Lisa, hadn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She was brilliant in that, young
I know.
prostitute.
She's fabulous. She was so wonderful in this movie.
You shoot! Leave him!
This sort of becomes a little bit of an iconic scene in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
This is the one you often...
See, with each of these little scenes, you know, one had to get it so right, you know, because they had to do so much for their characters.
I think the lighting's really successful here too, as well, the shadows. I remember when at the premiere, the guy who I'm about to be rather violent to turned up with the scars either side of his mouth. He seemed quite proud that he was going to be that scene was going to be in the movie.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Because
you're
didn't we? You know, when this was shot, when you cut the guy's mouth, originally we made a prosthetic jaw that was going to drop down.
That was shot.
I know.
And it was shot, and then
no, I shot
the sensors, didn't
I
it?
shot it, and it was really too much. You know. I wanted to keep it, of course, but you know, the censor wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, that's right. It was banned.
I'm going to make you laugh the rest of your fucking life.
Ronnie, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, there was a shot after this, of course, and that was the one which went out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take care of myself. Why don't you go back to the party? Talk to the dog.
So, I think this is my first love scene in a movie, Peter.
Yeah.
So that's what happened, Gal.
But you remember I was in a terrible panic that day because we were supposed to shoot something else and something fell through or we wouldn't get the permission to shoot and I had to find a lavatory.
It was make do, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah. And I was running around like a lunatic from one public lavatory to another.
It's that what gave you their reputation.
I know. But I'm insane about mirrors. And I needed to have this mirror, and we finally found this lavatory, but the mirrors was a tiny one. And I said, no, you got to. I can only shoot if you wall up the whole thing and make it all a mirror, because I had to get him in, you in, the reflection, this, that, you know. I love this scene again. I mean, I love the whole thing.
But the way, you know, this is quite great, the way, because Ronnie starts to control him and wants to dress him, and
He was wonderful in the film.
Gary Love. He directs now, doesn't he, as well as acting.
Lots of the actors and actresses on this film I've worked with since over the years, and this film is they only talk about it in the warmest way. It's all part of their best memories.
I mean, this was another thing that Philip wanted to do, and this is the second time now I think we've seen the mirror situation with them, and obviously, you know, that as the metaphor for the fact that they always mirrored each other.
Mirrored each other, they're twins. He's surrounded by both, you know. But it's wonderful what you can make with mirrors.
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good shot, Peter.
Just like you.
I mean, it's always really easy working with Martin. You know, I mean, we'd spent 10 years in the band working with each other as well. But, you know, I think we had discussed Ronnie and Reggie amongst ourselves so much that, and then after that with you.
Yeah.
And I think that we felt a security about each other and about what we were doing, didn't we?
Well, it's about belief, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it was very easy looking into your eyes and believing that you were my brother on the set, which helps completely.
The wonderful thing is that when I came on the film and I had my first meeting with Dominic and Ray in their office, you know, they kept saying, you have to meet Gary and Martin, you know, and they're going to come up, you know, the boy's going to come up and you have to meet them. And I didn't realize, because they didn't tell me that you had to be in the movie, you know. And it slowly dawned on me in that hour and a half I was up in the office saying, oh my God, but what if they can't act, you know? And I said to Dominic, I said, but he said, I'm sorry, mate, you know, he said, that's the deal, you know, because we developed it together and they have to be in the film and we believe they could be wonderful, you know. And I wasn't sure. I mean, I loved you when we met, you know, but you don't know. And when we started looking at your boyfriends and we started reading them, you remember we started, and then the various wives-to-be, you know. And I was looking at the two of you more than actually the other actors, you know.
Oh, I knew that.
But I must say, within 1 second, I knew that it's going to be great, you know, because it had to be this supernatural connection, which one would get more so from two brothers than you would get from two different actors.
You know, I also think we had the experience of working together, and I think
but of course, I knew that you worked with Anna Scher. And since your childhood, isn't it? You know, wonderful lady who runs this theater school where she takes kids up from the streets for £1 and teaches them acting. You know,
I think we started at Anna's when we were 7 years old.
Yeah. We should just mention Victor, of course, Bonetti here.
There you are.
Who actually met Ronnie and Reggie as well, didn't he? He had lots of stories.
Yeah, I mean, was a great friend of theirs. Because they're all very close in that whole world of the theater, and we used to go to the theater all the time. And
I listened to lots of stories with Victor that day.
Victor is
he's a great raconteur.
Yeah.
Just natural.
It's interesting when you watch this scene back, because I remember seeing the rushes on this scene, or the rough cut, before the Foley was put in, before the sound was wrapped around it. And I think people who don't watch rushes are really shocked when they first see them, because, you know, you could hear cars in the street, and every time it cut from one angle to another, the sound would go shh, shh, shh. And of course you wrapped it in silence and birds whistling, and the whole scene takes on a completely different intensity.
It creates their own world.
It's a crocodile.
I think people forget how important sound is in movies.
Totally. But anyhow, to go back to the two of you, which you don't want to talk about, I really loved you and love you, and I think it's just wonderful how wonderful you were in the film, and it gave your whole
Yeah,
life, you know, and both of you, you know.
Yeah, I think we're all grateful for being, you know, cast in this.
Absolutely.
But you see Kate here, I mean, she has a powerful sense of, a beautiful sense of naivety on screen, doesn't she? And, which really suited
she's heaven,
the character.
I think.
And in a way, I think you start to sort of root for Reggie a bit, saying, "Go on, Reggie, you know, just kind of get out of what your brother's starting as well, and have a bit of a normal life," which he had an opportunity to do,
But he kept getting dragged back in by Ronnie.
Yes.
As much as he wanted to get out, he couldn't escape.
because their relationship was the strongest of all.
But there was this supernatural connection, a
Yeah.
part of everything else. And it's so tragic, you know, because Reggie would have become quite somebody I know.
Yeah.
And he was just pulled back into the crime and pulled back into that madness.
Just to mention, there was a lovely bit of saxophone there which reminded me of the music, because I think the music's really strong in this as well, the very sort of abstract, quite ambient, eerie music, which was Michael Kamen.
Michael Kamen,
passed away now.
Yeah.
Who sadly passed away as well. And
I always think it's a terrible shame that in real life, when you kiss, you don't hear that saxophone in the back of your head. I think that's the only thing missing.
I like the humour in this as well. You know, when she arrives, and there are all that fleet of cars there.
Yes.
You know, and there is a lot of funny stuff in this script.
yeah, it just says something without saying too much, you know. But to go back to Michael Kamen, you know, who was really, really a great, great composer. We had very, very little money to make this movie, and I very much wanted Michael to do the music. And Michael has this incredible agent, Sam Schwartz, in America, and Sam kept saying, "Don't worry, you know, we'll work something out." And so then Michael saw the movie, and when he saw the movie, he said, "Don't worry, you know, I'm already written the music in my head." And it's quite incredible because composers, you know, when I worked with the Pink Floyd, I learned, you know, how musically you can create incredible noises. And so I wasn't sure if I will be able to make the right noise when the swan at the beginning is flying.
Oh, yeah.
And at 1:30 at night, I said to Michael when we finished the cue, I said, "Darling, please can you do something for me to the noise of the wing flapping, you know, musically, you know." And I was wearing a leather jacket, and he said, "Take your jacket off for a minute," you know. And he went to a mic, and he went like... And that's the noise which went into the movie.
I never knew that.
Yeah, I know.
I never knew that. That's wonderful.
Will you put the biscuits down? It's the Maltese boys.
It's serious, Reg. They're out of order. They were threats made at the Regal last night. Everybody want tea? Yeah, I don't mind.
But this kind of, also in this scene, it shows all that sort of cultural thing of tea and biscuits, and it's upstairs at Mum's, and someone walks some dog shit up the stairs, and how they're really upset about that. And so Philip did a great job at trying to combine the sort of, you know, ordinary domestic
the honor
stuff.
of that whole class, working class, East End working class, and the dignity of the mother, and the ritual of the tea.
But it also kind of, in a way, it brings sort of levity to something that is quite, you know, powerful that they're trying to go out and do.
Absolutely. But also that the both of her boys were coming home always, you know, because they all lived separately. But they returned, or whenever Reggie was really in trouble, he always ended up back home with his mom.
I think this is one of the most frightening scenes, and these women are all sort of ganging up on poor Kate.
You know what I did during the war? Look, Mum,
It's a good scene, this as well. It shows the two parts of Reggie's life, how he's being torn from one to the other, where Francis is downstairs talking to the women, and his life with the gang is upstairs.
Yeah.
400 an hour. Can you imagine a man?
This is Avis Bunnage, you know, who really was the main star of John Littlewood's theatre company, and she had played the most legendary roles in the East End of London and on Broadway. And of course I knew her since Sparrows Can't Sing, and it was just a joy and an honor, and
oh, she was fantastic.
Fantastic to have her. And at this particular scene, when she makes her big speech, you know, I asked her to do it several times, and I have a terrible thing that when I get something perfect, I just want to do one more take to see if there's any more kind of gold coming out. And Avi said to me, "Oh, darling, I can't do it anymore. It's really great what we've got, you know." And I didn't know until 6 months later when she died that she was dying of cancer at the time when we were doing this movie.
Yeah.
And she was tired, exhausted.
Yeah, of course,
you know.
of course.
Look at the colours there. You've got the browns of the brick and then everything else black. I mean, they're like a bunch of crows, a murder of crows just about to go and commit a crime.
Yeah. And one has so little to work with in a scene like this, except wonderful actors, but the cars, and I remember Lucas the camera spacing them out so they really stretch out and they create the whole picture. It's the nosy neighbor.
Because even the music that Michael's put on there has a sort of 50s feel to it, doesn't it? Those staccato strings. Sort of almost Hitchcock.
All right, just remember, lads.
This has does this have a slight homage to the Ipcrest file when they all come piling out the back of the van?
You know, I got a phone call when we were halfway through the film from Martin Scorsese, and we were shooting, I think, the boxing scene in the pump house. And Marty said, you know, I just read this book, The Profession of Violence, and it's a fantastic book, you know. And I heard you were doing this movie, and I just found out about it, but I would love to get involved, you know. How can we get involved in it, you know? And I said, you're about 6 months late, you know, because... and he loved the movie so much.
Well, I remember when we went to New York with it, when Miramax bought it. It was in the early days of Miramax, actually, and they showed it in New York. The other movie out at the time was Goodfellas, wasn't it? And it was the It was the beginning of the sort of
and it
gangster era.
And this film was in the beginning of the career of Miramax.
I love that cut. I think that's a great cut. That's the church down on Cromwell Road, Commercial Road.
Commercial Road, yeah. Which is in the East End. And I wanted David Bailey, I knew since the 50s, 60s, you know, and I wanted David to be the photographer in this scene for a joke because he was the real photographer, the real wedding, you know. And David said to me, you know, I took my whole life to get away from that.
You smell awful. Yeah, go to bed, you revolting man. Oh, get off.
Oh, they looked lovely though, didn't they?
Oh, they didn't they, May? My own son married and on his honeymoon. I can't believe it. Think I've lost him, May.
Reg, you must be joking. He'd always come first. You know that, Vi.
What's the matter, Rose? Rose?
I was just thinking.
This is one of Philip's greats
You know, I
of
was on the bus the other day.
monologues.
Wonderfully
Some old
written.
toe rag was boasting about
Quite daring to do a monologue like this in a movie.
Because it's quite theatrical,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. But I love films which are half movies, half theatrical, you know.
A real war. The women were left at home.
It's quite hard speech to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does it brilliantly.
Yeah.
In one shot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all in one.
That should have been with me when old Pauline Woolley went into labour. Do you remember that, Barney?
Yes, I do, darling.
7 hours.
She's great, Billy. Just the way she's just touching the top of her chest there. You know, just it tells us how nervous she is at this moment that, you know, something strange is happening to her.
She died anyway, poor old cat.
They're such wonderful faces, all of them, and
Jesus. the abortions. Those poor girls.
She had a wonderful costume again.
One day they'll drain Victoria Park Lake. And you know what they'll find?
You know, the sort of liveliness of the costume makes the poignancy of the darkness of the speech even more poignant, doesn't it?
The beads and watch
Babies. That's what. Bullets and dead babies. Men! Mum's right. They stay kids all their fucking lives and they end up heroes. Or monsters. Either way they win. Women have to grow up. If they stay children, they become victims.
I think it would have, if Philip had written a script that was just within the world of the Krays, in the way that The Long Good Friday is, which is a great movie, but this was about two real people who did some horrific things. If he'd just made that script, then I think that with all the morals that would have gone on in that world, it would have, you would have almost forgiven them. There would have been, their actions may have been justified. I think by setting it outside of that world and in the world of the women and ordinary people, I think it makes what the Krays do even more horrific.
Yeah, it's the juxtaposition of the boys and the girls, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, Ronnie's concern for the aunt and his love for her and all that is...
Get Reggie back. Stop his honeymoon. Stop his honeymoon.
The implication is Ronnie's sort of using this as an excuse as well, slightly, to mess up Reggie's honeymoon. I think that's what Philip's saying in the story. I mean, he's got two things going on. His brother's left him and his aunt's died.
Well, because he's losing control of Reggie, isn't it?
Yeah. And they can't have that, you know.
I love that cut, Peter, the way the camera goes up on the crane and then you end up on the helicopter shot.
This was a miracle we ever got to this location.
Do you, Reg, miss anyone?
It was beautiful here.
I know.
But this was my first day. And I was as nervous as hell, I can tell you.
Were
that.
you?
Yeah.
How do you keep people away from walking in the background? And
but there's nobody.
I mean, there must have been so many runners spread out there.
There was an AD shooting them, I think.
No, we had on each hill we had somebody, you know, and there were a lot of people crouching down.
Great.
Can't go there, sir.
Behind the lunchbox.
You even smell different.
Yeah, I love this because it shows the white cliffs of Dover, you know, and it's so wonderful. There's a close-up, but look at the vastness of it behind. And
it's a very old-fashioned English idyll, isn't it? It's the icon of England, the way it was after the war.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. Stay there. You ready?
it's wonderful because the whole picture is so English, you know.
Smile.
I think Michael Caine's gone for the Vaughan Williams harp as well, hasn't he? That's very predatory, isn't it?
But some of these shots follows the classical cliches of gangster movies, you know, which one collects from all over the world in one's head. And I think they're so great, you know, because you know, elongates everything, and it's all in your body language and everything.
Yes, you don't hear what he says, do you?
No.
It's from Francis's point of view. Had a close set that day, didn't they?
Cute bottom.
Yeah.
What?
It's weird how you put things in.
No, keep it there.
You see the gun there?
Yeah.
The reason I put it there, that in 100 years before in Hungary, when the communists took my father, two detectives stayed with us and took my mother and father, and me and my brother stayed in the apartment for 3 days, and these detectives were there with this gun, always. And it was next to the phone, and every time the phone rang, they picked the gun up. And
Wow.
and it does nothing to do with this, but then it works, you know, so you always steal fragments of your lives and you shove it into indirectly, you know.
Of course.
He thinks it's getting too damn messy.
See, when Reggie's not around, Ronnie talks to the mirror.
I'm not Ron. You'd have your guts for God.
Tom Bell.
Tom
What a
Bell
great
is-
actor.
You ripped us off, Jack!
Mistake, Reg. A mistake, really. I mean, I wouldn't do it. You know, I wouldn't do it.
So wonderfully offbeat about everything. It's just heaven.
He was fantastic in this.
I think he
was a great actor to work with as well.
Wait outside.
He's completely film noir, isn't he?
Just do it!
So even the way he wears his hat, it's just all a bit offbeat, yeah.
Well, he has been good in the past.
Yeah, well, we'll watch him. He's scared. He knows we know. You can stay. But we're going to be watching you.
It's a good suit, Martin.
You've already got one foot in a grave, Jack. Don't jump in head first.
Oh, I wouldn't do anything, you know that.
He's a good lad.
Hey, how long have we known each other? Pals, Reg, pals.
I hope so, Jack.
Of course, we were the new boys, weren't we, Martin? I mean, they were making our first foray back a bit. Had to pinch the cheek of an actor who's been doing it for years and years. I don't know how they felt about that at the time.
You're in trouble, Jack!
Tom Bell was there before even Tom Courtney. He was the forerunner of all that whole avalanche of wonderful
You should have done it, Reggie. He's a ponce.
actors
He
who
was
came
great.
along.
I learnt a lot from
He's
Tom
afraid he ain't gonna
during
rip
that
us
day.
off.
Stupid bastards.
You're not fooling anyone, Jack. Those bloody tablets of yours, they're turning
I remember the
your mind
actor
jelly.
smoking just up on the top there.
All they're gonna do is
And
dig in early
when
grave.
you were rehearsing, that's what he was doing. And then when you actually took your first take, he pretended he couldn't get the lighter to work. Yeah. Yeah, and this is, you know, background actors shouldn't be making such a distraction. And it was all just... later on, he comes up with another trick that is classic.
Kray brothers.
In fact, I think
This is the scene.
This is
isn't
the
it?
scene of the shit in the shoe.
on each other's toes, but there are others.
Bloody Pelhams and Cornell. Yeah, well, I won't worry about Cornell.
They're torturer.
They what?
Listen, I've seen what he can do, so has Chris. He can do no end of things with a pair of pliers.
It's disgusting.
How much of an influence is Cornell with the Pelhams then?
Well, he's an influence. He's got it in for you boys, you know that.
I think the Pelhams were really meant to be the Richardsons, weren't they?
He's been calling me names.
Well, why does he hate you so much?
Bad chemistry.
I lose track, really I do. How many clubs is it they've got now? 3? Young Charlie took me to the Regal the other night. Yeah, well, you can take those gloves off now, darling. You'll stain them.
Reg likes them. They go with the outfit.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he does, but Reg isn't here now, is he? So take them off. There's a good girl. Well, I better get this tea up to those young men. They'll be gasping. They haven't stopped nattering since they've been there.
I don't know what work she used to think they used to do up there.
We're expecting visits from across the ocean. I mean, soon you ain't gonna be able to throw a brick without hitting someone who belongs to one of us. It's getting too big to let the likes of Cornell get in that way. I mean, he's a maggot. And we're big fish. Big fish who own the ocean.
Sorry, Perry.
Very nice.
Sit down, boys. Now, I don't want to be a nuisance, but someone's trodding something. It's all the way up the hall. I don't mind who it is, but accidents will happen. Do you mind checking? Come on.
It's not me, Mrs. Kray.
No? Dickie?
No.
Nobody?
No.
Perry? Oh, well. Must be Francis. I'll go downstairs and ask her.
See, it's funny, isn't it? Because all of a sudden they become young boys just playing games.
If you want something.
Thanks, Mrs. Gray. And also there's such a strong sense of hierarchy in the East End, isn't there? Which usually starts with the mother at the top. But Kate is doing this thing of Frances being sort of ground into the ground really brilliantly, this sort of slow decay of her personality.
Look, darling.
Breakdown.
And if you think I'm being an interfering old cow, just tell me, I'll shut up. But are you still taking those tablets? Now,
there was a long process getting ready every morning, wasn't there? Because there was the sort of the wigs and the ageing as well. I mean, Billie
the makeup, the eyelashes, and
Billie is, has got the ageing makeup on, of course, because there's such a long period of time that maybe it was meant to be shot over.
Well, is it red?
It must have driven you mad waiting for actors to get to the set every morning, Peter.
Yeah, it's Reg. It's me. It's everything.
But everybody looks so great in it for the period, you know, and it's
taken over.
one just has to do
I haven't
it.
got any strength. I don't know who I am.
That's just called being married, darling.
I don't believe that. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I think, how old am I? What music do I like? What films do I like? I don't know the answer anymore. All I know is what Reg likes. What Reg likes me to like.
Kate was a great spirit on the set as well. She had her own little video camera, and she used to film everybody backstage, and she was really good fun to work with and really bonding. I think there was quite a strong sense of community we had making this movie. And also I think there was kind of a bit of nerves. You know, it was such a big part to take on, a big story to deal with, that everyone felt they knew a bit about from the outside, everyone you ever spoke to.
Yeah, it was a lot of responsibility, I think.
So I think we're all nervous about, getting it right.
Yeah.
We knew our heads were on the chopping block.
I learned that a long time ago.
This is the tea scene, wasn't it? When drinking the tea out of the saucer to distract everyone's attention from one of the background actors.
But I must say, I wasn't nervous of it at all, of the film. I loved the script, and once we started, you get so busy and you're so anxious to make that scheduled every day. You never think. Thank God one doesn't think.
That's right. Well, once you get rolling, everything's too big to think about, and you just get on with the job in hand.
Forward, yeah.
I felt quite odd as myself when I wasn't during this period. I felt, my hair was dyed black, and I remember going in the mornings, actually, greasing it back and putting on the suit, and actually feeling, now I'm back to normal.
That's quite common, though. I kind of get into that mode whenever I film. I always find that when you finish the film and you have to put your own clothes back on, that's kind of weirder than putting the costume on.
But Ronnie and Reggie were such powerful characters, weren't they? I mean, really, it was quite a weird skin to wear.
There's old Burkoff.
All the pretty boys together.
I was so excited to be working with Stephen Burkoff. I mean, he's one of Britain's sort of maverick theatre writers, directors, actors, and I'd always loved what he's done. I mean, everything. He's really into mime, isn't he? And and sort of the larger-than-life kind of presentation of his work.
Anyone? You listening? You tell your fat, poor friend he doesn't scare me. He's bringing over his Yankee friends from America.
I love his accent. Yeah, it's just so great.
I mean, not a word goes by with Stephen that he can't manipulate or bite upon or twist in some way.
Okay.
And he has that great Jewish East End past as well, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he's right from there.
You gonna tell Ron?
I don't mean I have to. Off the fucking pub heard him.
Oh gosh, you remember this scene?
Yeah. I love doing this scene.
Yeah, it was great. It's hard to do, but with this kind of scenes, the only thing to do is just do it for real.
But you shot it really well because it was from Frances's point of view inside the car, which kind of added to her paranoia.
Her claustrophobia of receiving everything.
Everything being on top of her.
How's your mum?
I mean, that's really what the scene is about. It's not about the actual fight.
No, of course not.
About
it's the effect of
her
on her.
claustrophobia inside of the firm.
I'll tell her.
That's all right.
Thanks. What's going on?
Just looking at the car, mate.
You know, the interesting thing is like Murray and Barbara Ferris, they knew the Krays. So it was incredible to have them there. And I remember when Murray saw the two for the first time, he just nodded at me on the other side of the street saying, they're going to be all right, you know. Because everybody's an expert, you know.
Of course.
Of course, I think you really, you helped the scene by introducing that particular slow song ballad into it, you know.
Some years ago.
This is that same pool house club now converted.
Have a good journey, Mr. Plendry.
The flight was a nightmare.
Please sit down.
But England is a dream. I love London. It's so wonderfully dirty. And the Beatles. I adore the Beatles. You know the Beatles?
No.
Because it was true to say that Ronnie and Reggie wanted to make their connection with the mafia in America, and Ronnie went there and they tried for a while to make.
That was incredible, the story when he went to America.
What is that song?
He got smuggled out of prison, I think, or he was on parole, and somehow they got him out from England to France, and he flew from Paris to New York. And in New York he was in a hotel for several days, and the mafia kept saying, you will be in touch, we will be in touch, And they didn't know what to do with him, and he started to go out of his mind. And he went down to that area where the people play chess in some coffee house, and so he was playing there. And he said to them, to the contact, that if I don't have this meeting within a day, I'm gonna go insane, I'm gonna smash up the whole thing. And so they didn't really want to be in business with him because he was too paranoid. And they, in fact, and it's in the books, they went and finally the meeting took place. And Ronnie took his cufflinks off and gave it to the mafia boss, and they had a wonderful meeting, and they're going to be in business together and everything, And he went back to England, France, and they went back to England, told the boys that they had this great big meeting and all that. And in fact, what happened, that the mafia, the New York mafia, hired an actor to pretend to be one of them.
Wow.
And they had this insane meeting. And of course I wanted to put that in the film, and there are lots of things in the book which I wanted to put in. And I sat down with Darling Phil the second day, and we started going through the script, and I said that should be in when they got him out of prison, when they switched each other, there's a story,
of course.
And both of them disappeared. And then I realized that if I start putting all this stuff in, I would totally destroy Phil's script, And I said, after 2 days of talking about it, I said, forget the whole thing, and I forget about it, and I just do the script as it is.
Because there are so many great anecdotes of the twins. If you start putting one in, then...
And then you would have lost the story of the women and the background stuff, which made this more
I know,
unique.
but thank God I realized that.
Those Kray brothers are getting on my tits. They'll be all
Well, it's what Gary was saying earlier as well. I think Phil has a great way of blending several anecdotes together to become one scene.
Yeah.
Conan, it's amazing you can walk at all with your foot in your mouth so much.
You seen this?
You never quite. I bet you never really know what Stephen's going to do you? When you act with Stephen, he does.
Splattered all over the papers.
He surprises you all the time. I think he's a great presence on screen. Fantastic presence.
What does it matter?
What does it matter? You sit here in your little office crushing cars into little snot balls. What does it matter? I'm out there earwigging it on the street, and what I'm hearing is cry, 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 cry. The pavement stinks with Kray.
What are you saying, Cornell?
You know damn well what I'm saying.
Cornell, we've been through this 1,000,000 times. The Krays are not interested in us. Of course they will be if you don't shut that megaphone of a voice box.
You don't know. You don't know what they're saying about you. They're saying things.
Things? What things?
Things. I say, shoot the bastards. Shoot them. What are they? A pair of bum boys. Let's put them out their misery. A pair of movie gangsters. Oh, they're interested in as much.
Stephen's made us all shut up now, hasn't he?
I know.
They're a pair of locusts. You won't have a thing. You won't have the pants.
I saw a wonderful play that he did when he directed Oscar Wilde's Salome, and it was all in slow motion. And it's the one thing he can
Salome,
do.
yeah.
He can take any dialogue and he can make it as slow as any actor would dare, and then go slower.
Yeah, I know.
And I think he really relishes words, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Which, you know, in a way is great for an East End gangster, because, and it takes us back to that scene earlier on in the movie about words. Where he's the absolute opposite to Jack the Hat. He's completely frenetic and speeding.
Fucking kids.
Do you want one?
No, I don't fucking want one. Stuff your sweets. What was eating you on like a fucking dustbin? Why don't you give it a rest?
There is a humour in this violence, Peter, I have to say.
Fat, you know that. Not go out with a fat cow like you.
I'll give it a rest, eh, Jack? I'm fat, but you're bald. What's the difference?
I'm not bald. I told you that I'm not fucking bald. Get out of it! Get out of it! Fuck off! Out of it!
Well, I don't know why I'm laughing. I mean, it happened to someone. That's a true story.
Absolutely.
There's a...
But you know, I think Steve was doing Salome at the time. He was doing something at the National, and that's why we had to shoot that scene, the car junkyard scene, on a Sunday. And when Stephen turned up, you know, he said, "Oh, I brought my own clothes." I said, "Well, we got wonderful gear, you know." No. He wanted some cigarette paper to roll his own cigarette. It was the middle of nowhere. We couldn't get it. You know, I said, "Steve, have a cup of coffee, you know, get the makeup on, you know, and let's run the lines." And Steve turned around to me and said, "What lines, you know?" I said, "Steve, come on, you know." I said, "We specially made this scene longer for you to be in it, you know. And you had the script. We sent, I don't know, they got like 5 versions of the script at home." And they said, "I don't know about dialogue, you know." I said, "Let's just improvise the whole thing." I said, "No." He said, "Let's get the script." And that's how that day started.
So was he winding
And I'm
you
not
up,
sure
or
if
was-
Stevie wasn't just saying, "Oh, I don't know it," you know,
Yeah.
they're trying to put everybody on the edge, you know.
What does it mean, Reg? I don't understand.
They're all for you. Every one of them. There's one for every night of the year.
But Reg...
You don't like them.
It's not that...
Well, you do like them. I like them.
You see, this is another trick that, you know, Phil using to sort of show how he's sort of killing her with kindness, really,
Yeah.
you know, drowning her.
Yeah, he's smothering her.
Suffocating her with everything.
Have to. What do you mean, have to? It's not a case of having to. I want to.
You can't afford it, and I can.
But Phil is incredibly visual in his writing too, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful writer.
I mean, he writes a lot of children's stories as well, doesn't he? So the kind of, in a way, this had a kind of fairy tale. So it was a sort of Brothers Grimm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right, I've got no money.
So I'll get them.
I mean, all his children's stories are incredibly dark.
I know,
This
I know.
one is really you, friend. Don't you think so? You wear it tonight, and you'll be the prettiest thing there. Yeah?
It's fabulous, like when my eye go to your watch and it says, you know, 1:30 or something, you know, half film, which is really a dead celluloid, you know, but it really creates real life, you know.
And the glove. Oh, bitter, bitter sweet.
And this was casting you had to make, really. For this.
Yeah, this is my ex-wife, who's still a great friend. And I couldn't help it but to cast her in it because the Krays were great friends of Judy Garland, and Julia here kind of portrays that part of their life.
But Julia's voice is incredible.
Yeah.
She's an opera singer by trade, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
She made a great job of this.
I think my ex-wife appears later on, Peter.
I know.
Briefly. We're also great friends.
I know, that's good. It's the only way to be.
This is down at the Café de Paris in Leicester Square.
That's right.
Which has been a famous haunt, decadent place for years and years. I mean, I remember it in the 80s and 90s being a real club to hang out in, but I think it goes back to sort of...
in the 60s, 50s.
Yeah, I think it's Edwardian as well.
Yeah.
The decor, maybe even earlier. And it was a song written by...
Jim Beach's other...
Chris Rea. Chris Rea wrote the song, didn't he?
Huh?
Jim Beach manages Chris Rea.
Yeah.
And Chris Rea wrote the song.
That's it, that's right.
And Jim was executive producer on the Krays.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why, because otherwise we couldn't have got the song anyhow.
I croaked in time, didn't I? Hi. Are you all right? You look like you need a drink.
Oh, she's fine. This is Iris.
That was great. You look terrific. Oh, thank you. So do you.
Come sit down.
How you doing, Ron?
Yeah, fine, Judy.
Judy, one with the boys, yeah?
Oh, boys, Judy calls.
And really, this whole scene is really about Francis, isn't it? This scene.
Absolutely.
I mean, it shows you that they're well known internationally, but really, it's about Francis.
It's again a whole kind of invasion of fame, kind of destroying her, and that she can't take it. That's what it's all about. This shot, the whole scene.
Francis, come on, Judy, come on, Phil.
Great Bambi in her headlights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Roger, the plans are coming downstairs. Very well.
There you are, darling.
You missed the show.
It's my ex-wife, Sadie.
There's Sadie.
All right, Ron?
You know Cornell, don't you?
See, Stephen's flicking the coin there.
I know.
I remember when the first take he did it, he flicked it right over the other actor's head and caught it from behind.
All right.
Yeah, so the whole scene he keeps saying, all right.
Yeah, but
Better than me. Richie, look, we got the same dress on.
you definitely want to look at him.
Richie, all right, yeah.
I'll let my wife
And of course,
choose
that's
her
what,
own dress
in the
for
end,
night.
he's
She
meant to be
counts
winding
the
us up,
laps
isn't he?
and
more?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Shut it.
When are you two getting married?
It's wonderful still.
Because what Stephen was doing was, his character's meant to be winding us up. but
Winding it
as an
up.
actor, he was winding up the other actors as well with the
Absolutely, all
coin
that,
and everything.
yeah.
It's nothing. You ain't even worth it, man. Piece of shit.
Actually, that little bowl of a walk I did there, I stole from Stephen, I think. I used to watch the way he did that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, he knows that he does the bowl really
Not
well.
anymore, she's not.
Richie?
Just do it, Brent, for me, love. No arguments.
Did you put those mirrors in, Peter? Or were they
No,
there?
it was there.
So was that
there.
a choice you made on the day?
Yeah. I saw it and couldn't help it.
Well, I've got this.
No, tough.
Another great English face
Yeah.
is the shopkeeper.
There's
I mean,
Norman Rossington.
Fine.
He's passed away as well. He was also in my very first movie in Negatives.
How's your mother? How's your mother?
How was he?
Played a small part.
You know, Martin and I had grown up watching these guys on a Sunday afternoon in black and white English movies.
Probably some of them were mine. I'm so fucking old. It's wonderful what you can create in scenes just with looks.
slipped some of
isn't
Reg's
it, you know?
favourite
Oh,
samples.
absolutely.
Because it's
They're more
little
powerful
kids.
than words.
Yeah.
And that's a look on the left.
Look at it. Jumps the queue. Again, the mirrors.
It must have been a nightmare for the DP.
3
though.
mirrors. Yeah, but you can work around it because you can hide things and. But it's wonderful, you know, because you can, you know, instead of panning around and you just stay in there. And,
That picture down in the left, I mean, that's another one of those iconic pictures that every working class home had
That's right.
in the 60s. There's the other one that's hanging above the room upstairs, where the boys were all sitting earlier of the girl.
There used to be that African head as well, you know, which I think we got it somewhere else.
That's a good choice as well, with her in the white, wearing all white at that time. To sort of show her innocence.
Sure, yeah, exactly that. And the loneliness and her isolation. And God, remember those snakes?
Yeah. The picture of Napoleon on the back and the blades, all true.
Hello? No, it's Ron. I see.
This snake performed well at this point. As I look up, I think it starts to move around.
I know.
I know. That was a tough day for you, wasn't it, Martin?
Oh, emotional scenes like this are always tough days because you always have to drag up stuff from your own life.
Of course.
To for that kind of performance. And mix it with the story that you're kind of portraying.
It must be terrible to hear, you know, from the director saying, "Oh, the guy is great, but let's just do it once more."
Well, because I always find that there's only so many times you can do it.
I know.
And then maybe the third or fourth you have to start dragging up stuff from your past that's even worse.
Yeah.
And to get that kind of emotion flowing. It's very draining. By the time you get home that evening, you're completely exhausted with something like that.
Did you know, Peter, the new Oasis video has completely stolen that scene, and it's the whole video. The Importance of Being Idle, I think the song's called. And it's based itself entirely around that funeral scene, and they shot it in the same street.
Yeah.
So you have to watch that. Unfortunately, I don't think you can claim.
I know. I saw it. I said, "Hang on a minute," but I recognised the gasworks, you know, and the chimneys.
But Rhys Ifans is in it.
He's done it again, hasn't he? 2,000 this time.
£2,000?
Jesus, do the twins know? Of course they know. They might not be saying anything, but they know.
What is it with Jack? Has he got a death wish or something?
It's treating like a fucking kid! Well, I was here when the mother was still wiping the shit from their asses. Their asses, you know,
Quiet, Jack. What's the matter with you?
Quiet! You know, shit's scared. You know, shit's scared.
Shut him up, will ya?
Shit's scared. I'm gonna get up. Ronnie! Reggie! I'm gonna get you!
Stop it, please!
For
fucking slut!
Come on.
I'm gonna fucking brains out! Krays! I'll kill the bastards!
You've got a temperature.
Remember, this was a tight little space that you filmed in this room, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The only access you had really was this fourth wall here was missing, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it was the upstairs part to the set, wasn't
That's
it?
right, yeah.
With the open wall.
It was your room, yeah.
Please. We all lose people, love.
And we have quite a bit to do, this scene and another scene when you come in later on.
We've got to move on, darling. Oh, don't. Mummy loves you. Mummy loves you.
It's got to come to terms.
How lucky were you to get this fog this day?
Mm.
Do you remember we arrived at the
I know.
cemetery and the mist was like this?
I know.
Incredible.
I was running around the border, shoot, you know. And this was like 3 hours later and the mist was still hanging in.
Do you know,
I mean, no one could afford to put that much smoke. You couldn't put that
No.
much smoke into a shot.
about there being nothing under Victoria Park Lake but bullets and babies.
But where was this? What cemetery was this?
Somewhere, I'm not sure it wasn't up in Highgate somewhere. Wasn't it?
No, Finchley.
No, it was South London, wasn't it? I'm sure it was. I remember it was a long drive to get there.
To have not helped anyone, and anyone out there who likes to know where the
I'm sure it's
locations
South
are.
London.
When you were a child, they took you away from me, you know. Do you remember that? You were sick and they put you in hospital. You were there for weeks. It wasn't the medicine you needed.
Something quite Dracula-like about the imagery here, isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
With my widow's peak.
You've got to make him fight this.
It definitely is beginning to look demented.
It's up to you now, darling.
I didn't have anything to say in that scene or this scene, but I just remember how important that they were. You know, sometimes it's not having the dialogue. That doesn't always.
Sure.
That's not the thing you worry about most of all as an actor. This is the scene where Ronnie manipulates, really, Reggie, I guess, doesn't he? Tries to get him back.
Yeah, gets you out of your doom.
But for his own cause.
Yeah.
It's crumbling, Reg.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about Francis. He cares about putting the firm back together.
Absolutely,
They're laughing
yeah.
at us now. Jack the Hat's been threatening us. He's
But he pretends, you know, he kind of covers it up and...
waving a gun. Do you hear me? Sandy, you're through, Reg. You're over. We're over.
We did this scene quite a lot this day, I remember. You know, you knew how... It was quite an important scene. You
Yeah.
didn't get it right, Peter, didn't you?
There's nothing left that we're burnt up,
Difficult scene.
falling. And you know something? I think they're right. I said I think they're right. I knew it was over when Francis came along. Forgot about me then, didn't you? About the firm? About everything we'd built up? I mean, you were in love, so nothing else mattered. I didn't matter.
Philip, actually, you know, pre-Quentin Tarantino was quite good at giving people long pieces of dialogue, wasn't he? I mean, but, we spoke about that earlier, being quite theatrical, the dialogue he gives you. But, and that's not really what an actor's used to when they're doing cinema, is it?
No.
Ah, that's what we want. That's what we'll do then. I'll get Cornell. I'll get Jack the Hat.
think this was one of the scenes that we first rehearsed when we first met you, wasn't
Yeah.
it? When on that very first day.
We've rehearsed, we've gone through the whole script of all the rehearsable scenes and worked on them. And
this was tough for you, Mark. You had to stay in that frame of mind, completely wrecked with emotions for, I think, whatever, for how many hours we were shooting
It's
this.
exhausting, yeah. It's exhausting to do that.
I'm sure this was like a 2-3 page scene, if not longer, more probably. So probably took a whole day.
My favourite bit, though, is coming up, where he's clenched the crocodile so hard
that
he's bleeding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another bit of symbolism for what's to come.
Exactly.
And it's very odd, this shot here, just because it's not very often you're asked to look straight down the lens of a camera.
But
And
it gives a wonderful connection.
Yeah.
You feel that it's
Absolutely.
all good, or?
No. I think it gives.
It's
what
great
we try
because-
to do was to connect to the audience.
Yeah, to the audience. It goes right through.
Yeah.
Something quite sort of sexual there.
It's very difficult to do that, Martin. Yeah. You're terrific in it.
Thank you. So
I mean,
this is the
yeah.
beginning of the end.
But I think this last reel is incredibly dark. Very, very dark. And if people ever say to me, oh, you know, I don't know whether you got the violence across or you didn't show them, I think this last reel shows them quite a monstrous fashion.
It's how they manipulated everybody around them, and
it's just it's such a clever way of doing it. That it's cutting. Philip gets you to cut back to Violet watching stories of the war and her loss and of that sort of her memories of horror.
Well, also on the TV, there's the soldiers marching off to war.
Exactly,
and that's exactly what the firm are about to do.
I know it took me forever to choose that material. You know?
So this is our first hint, actually, considering it's a movie about the 60s. This is the first time you get a glimpse of the real 60s, isn't it, in this party?
There's them twisting in there and all that.
And the way these girls are dressed.
As you can, eh? That's a good girl.
Yeah, we're having a meeting. Here's 20 quid. Go find another party.
Okay, everyone, okay. You've got to go to another party.
Party.
This is Night of the Long Knives, because as I said earlier, that these two murders were actually separated by a year, but Philip wanted in his script to sort of really show the scene, especially the scene of which we last saw of Ronnie getting Reggie to come back, knowing that this, by getting him to commit this murder, this would really bond them together forever, and he'd never lose Reggie again. And that's what Philip wanted to show, I think.
Do you remember this apartment here was originally white? And on the day you asked for it to be painted red.
I know.
And halfway through filming, the owner of the apartment came back and went completely ballistic.
Oh my God!
I know. We broke the window, you know.
Yeah.
There was in a basement, you know.
That's right.
My late ex-father-in-law was an artist in the 60s, and one of his gags was breaking into people's houses while they were away on holiday and painting them red inside. So it was a very 60s thing to do, Peter. We shot this in Hoxton, the main street in Hoxton. That pub, which is obviously meant to be the Blind Beggar in the East End, is the Bacchus in real life. It has this fantastic interior. But I remember getting out, I remember all the street kids that were hanging around while we were shooting this. I remember getting out the car and sort of asking you some question. You know, Peter, darling, what should I be doing here? Ronnie Kray would never talk like that.
Because we wanted to use the original Blind Beggar, didn't we? But it was almost like a disco pub.
Yeah, it just doesn't look
at
the
that
same.
time, wasn't it?
And there's something wonderful about that old street in Hoxton with the cobbles and
Yeah.
This scene in real life actually took place during the day, at midday. In broad daylight, he walked in and did this.
I love the pan onto the mirror. It's really twists your perspective of where he is. I remember you wanted to shoot Stephen right through the little mole
That's
he has
right.
on his
Oh,
forehead.
it does, yeah. My sick joke of Steve.
It's a very stylised scene, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't have any of the sort of... There's no dirty realism in it. It's extremely theatrical. And apart from this shot, which is the first time you see a handheld sort of Steadicam in the whole movie. Which I guess works because it's, post the murder.
Because the nerve is not walking away.
Yeah, because handheld and Steadicam always kind of add to the anxiety of any scene.
Where do you find that footage? All that footage is wonderful.
Oh, it looks at so much stuff, war footage, But I love these two killings, because it's what caused their final end,
Yeah.
Because that's what they were framed on at the end. It took actually the police, I think, 1.5 years to persuade the lady in the bar to actually testify against the Krays.
Yeah, that's right.
And
but you get a feeling from this as well that somehow Violet knows what's going on.
Yeah.
That there is a sort of telepathy.
She must have known all the way along.
But the way Philip sells it here, he sells it in, he sells it with all the
images,
imagery.
Yeah.
And I notice you use more sort of wide angles in the lenses in these shots to sort of make it all seem a bit more distorted.
Yeah, and I want this closeness between the two of you. So because of that, you go wide and then close.
This is in Notting Hill Gate.
Yeah.
Somewhere like Arundel Gardens.
Round the corner where Michael Kamen lives.
That's right.
Lived.
The sort of posh end of London. There's some horrific music as well, sound effects that Michael uses here as well.
I love those deep notes,
Run! I think that's brilliant from Tom Bell. Brilliant. That sort of animal caught in a trap.
It's your mouth, Jack. It's not what you've done.
I remember that Lindsay Hemmings wanting us to wear these really tight buttoned pinned shirts for these scenes, which made them seem more military, even more sort of screwed down in their desire to be.
Well, they were Edwardian collars, weren't they?
Yeah, it looked like it.
Clip on back.
That's the only time they wear them, I think, in the movie, isn't it?
Go on, be a man, Jack. You don't have to kill me. You don't have to kill me.
Yes, I do.
I'm sorry, Peter. That is really horrific. Yeah.
I know.
When we shot that, the guy on the right, holding my right shoulder, nearly collapsed the first time.
Really?
Yeah, because he was shot with the blood coming out. But it looked so real.
I mean, I think
going in the eye.
The fact that it is so horrific makes you feel cold in the theatre. So any sense that these were two glamorous guys and that they maybe were sort of street heroes gets completely taken away at this point, because it's so frenzied and unnecessary. And
this completely zaps the glamour out of them, I think.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look like a massive amount of blood to me. Actually,
I can't tell you how many pints I bought.
Gallons.
Do you remember?
Of course.
Pints and pints.
Gallons.
I think we ran out of blood at the end, But these two scenes are so important because if they wouldn't be there, you have to show what they were like.
And I guess
this thing is just.
And the candle there as well gives you this sort of feeling that something ritualistic about what's just occurred.
Yeah.
Sort of some sort of sacrifice.
Yeah.
In Ronnie's to Ronnie's absurd religion, I suppose.
Well, in a way, it was a sacrifice. It was Reggie's sacrifice to show his brother that he was still part of the firm.
Still up, Mum.
Just looking at
It wasn't really what Jack had said or done.
No, and that he can actually do it, you know.
Yeah. He had to prove himself to his brother at that point.
Because Ronnie demanded that they all kill somebody to prove their kind of honor and honesty and
loyalty to the
him.
firm, yeah.
And the sort of twisted resolution of this, where these two scenes come together right at the end, and we're like two little boys
Yeah, they
sitting
come
down
back
again.
to Mother the same way as they were at the beginning.
But she knows that they've lost their innocence now, doesn't she?
Shall I tell you, Marjorie? I dreamt I was...
There's your jacket.
I'll never hear that the same again.
Michael.
Anywhere. And do anything.
Martin and I had to wear prosthetics for this, didn't we?
I know.
I remember the first time I put it on and looking in the mirror, and I was shocked because I just saw my father.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it was quite early days for prosthetics as well.
Yes, it
wasn't
was,
it?
totally.
They're not as sophisticated as they are nowadays.
But I remember we had to get the
Remember
full...
there's Charlie Kray.
Oh, Charlie Kray.
Who insisted being in there. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, there's Charlie there, right?
Oh, there's
right,
him,
holding
yeah.
the wreath.
Holding the wreath, yeah.
But it's such a, I think it's a wonderful shot because it comes from way away and it has to convey so many things in it.
Well, I guess it's the ghosts of the mother, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's floating around.
There was a hatching sound. And out came 2 boys.
Yeah, that's a huge bit of organisation to get everyone
Yeah.
there. And that fantastic mist.
And they were wonderful.
It looks great, the makeup.
Mm.
They were perfect.
It's wonderful how you can tell stories with shots, you know, particularly at the end of, because everything leads to it, you know. But that's what it's about.
Yeah,
Mother.
we didn't need to go through the whole police chase and all of that. The handcuffs are enough. We can see what's happened.
Yeah, exactly. It tells the whole story. Yeah. Anyhow, it was really...
And currently both of them now dead.
I know, they're all dead,
Rather
all
than-
3 of them.
Mm. But it was a pleasure shooting it with you, and it's a memory. Something I'm always going to hold really dear. One of the most, it's one of the most exciting things I've ever done in my life.
Absolutely, yeah, me too.
Well,
Thank
to
you,
me,
Peter.
it's a highlight of really my little life of 37 years of directing, you know.
We should leave you before you all get tearful here.
No, it's great work. It's wonderful work from everybody. Everybody's contribution, and that's what makes a movie great, you know. It's not the director, it's the brilliant script, you know.
Yeah.
And then all of us having been brought together by some kind of miracle, you know. And then
And also, just thanks to Dominic and Ray,
Yeah.
I think they did a great job.
Absolutely.
Because so many people wanted to make this movie.
Yeah.
And I remember Roger Daltrey had the rights to the
Sure.
script for a long time.
Sure.
They managed to get it. They
But
managed to
had
get
you
the
not
rights.
done those videos when you were Spandau Ballet,
With
you wouldn't
Dominic
have
and
met
Ray.
Dominic.
We
You
wouldn't have met Dom, yeah.
We wouldn't be sitting here 15 years later.
Because Dominic produced some of those early Spandau videos.
No,
yeah.
But they stuck with it, you know. Like I said, the finances were in and out several times, weren't
Sure.
they? So Dominic and Ray did a great job in the whole thing together.
Absolutely, and Jim crowning the whole thing with his
Yeah.
connections and
Do you remember the first day the day we started filming? There was questions in the House of Lords as to whether or not the film should be made.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a piece of British history, and obviously someone will come along and make that film again one day in a different way. They'll write it in their own way. I mean, there's been lots of people talking over the years about a Krays too, and I guess the interesting part of the story would be Nipper Read and
Sure.
him hunting them down and the sort of wall
Absolutely.
of silence that he was presented with in the East End. I think there's a thank you to Roger Daltrey there.
No,
and who knows?
There's so much more to it, you know. I mean, this is one side of it from the women's point of view, and the police's point of view would be quite fascinating, you know.